Hello, everyone. Good evening, guys. I just started meeting a couple of minutes early, guys. It's not even time. So we'll wait until 5, or we'll wait for a couple of more minutes and we'll get started, guys. Okay, 30 more seconds, guys, and we get started. Okay, let's proceed, guys. In today's session, we're going to cover, or I'll give you a good overview of integration designer options. So I've logged into OIC instance. This is OIC Gen 3 instance, guys, and which is the latest version in the market today. And when you click on a navigator after you log into OIC instance, to find the integration related options, you need to go into design screen. This is where you find the integration related stuff. Click on design and click on integrations. Now, even when you work real time in integration projects, guys, this is a screen where you're going to spend 60 to 70% of your time. So this is one key page where you spend most of your time. So what I do was I'll try to give you a high-level overview of what options we have in this particular page and how you use them. Okay. So I'm going to give you a high-level overview of integration designer options today. Now, first of all, when you click on integrations, guys, under design, there are a few navigation basics that you need to be aware of. See, I logged into the instance as Prasad. And since I logged in as Prasad, or when I click on integrations or connections or any of these pages, you will notice that my username will be applied as a filter here. My username is applied as a filter. And I'm able to see 97 integrations that I have updated. So my username will be applied as a filter, and we can see that Prasad has updated 97 integrations, and those integrations are showing up in the table here. Now, the first important thing here is as you scroll down, so you see here, guys, I have updated 97 integrations. That doesn't mean that OIC will go to the database and pull all the 97 integrations. That doesn't mean OIC is going to pull all the 97 integrations and populate it in the table here. Instead, it will sort those 97 integrations by last updated date descending order. And whatever integrations that I updated recently will be showing up at the top, Now, I need to go ahead and so what you see here is out of 97, whatever is the latest 16 integrations that I've updated, I'll be able to see them in this particular table. I'll be able to see them in the table here. And if you scroll down, you can see almost 16 integrations here. Okay, you can see almost 16 integrations here. And as you scroll down, remember the next set of 16 integrations will be loaded into the table. So the point is, as you keep scrolling down, OIC will load the integrations in multiples of 16 into the table so that you can go ahead and review whatever integration that you want to. Now, when you build integrations, guys, we normally, if it's a complex integration, it would even take weeks. But we will not be able to wrap up the integration build in one day, guys. So you might probably be working on an integration today. You have signed off. Next day morning, you signed in. And with this filter applied, and with the integration sorted by last updated date, whatever integrations that you were working on yesterday will be showing up right at the top here. So you see, this is an integration I created yesterday evening, and that was showing up right at the top. So this way, whatever integrations that you were editing recently will be at the top. And if you want, you can scroll down and search for other integrations. And another easy thing that is available is a quick search option. If I want to search for a specific integration that is not showing up in this list, I can just type in type in a partial integration name. I don't even have to enter a full name. I just have to type in a partial integration name and it will show all the integrations that start with it. So if I say UG55, this was one of the old batches that I did probably a couple of years ago. You will be able to see all the integrations that I created for that batch showing up here. Okay, so you have a search box wherein you can search for integrations by entering full or partial integration name or keyword or description. And you do have an option to apply other filters. You can search, what are the other filters that you can apply, guys? You can search for integrations based on status. Say, for example, I want to see only the active state integrations. I can apply that filter, and that would show me only the active integrations. Okay, I think it's taking time to get reflected. I'm just refreshing the page. Yeah, you could see that there are only 2 integrations showing up now because only these 2 are in active status. And this way you can apply any other conditions, guys. Or if you want to see only the integrations which are scheduled ones. So I can go ahead and apply that filter and that will show me only the scheduled integrations. So the point is you can, if you want to search for your integration, there are n number of ways you can search for it. Most probably you will be seeing that integration at the top if you're probably editing it recently. Otherwise, you can search for it by entering a name, or you can even apply a filter condition there to search for it. And you do have 2 options. You can usually you will see the integrations in a tabular format. You can change it to card view if you want. Okay, 2 different views available. Usually clients stick to tabular format. And this is the most important part, guys. So you see that your username is applied as a filter here. And whatever username is applied as a filter, this is something that we can remove. And you see with my username applied as a filter, we can see that there are total 97 integrations available. There are 97 integrations that I have updated. And the moment I take off this filter, you would be able to see that there are almost like 1400 integrations here. Okay, so what does it mean, guys? It means that there are out of 1400 integrations that we have in OIC instance, I created only 100 of them. But the moment I logged in as Prasad and the moment I've taken off my username as a filter, I can see all other integrations we have in the OIC instance. And what exactly does that mean, guys? It also means that we don't have access control here. So if your client has only one integration team, and let's assume that your client is implementing only one offering, maybe they are implementing only finance or HCM or SCM, they're implementing only one product, and there's only one team, and let's say you have 4 to 10 members in a team. Since all of them belong to a same team, there's absolutely no need to do any access control since all of us belong to one team. Even if others are able to see the integrations that I created, it's absolutely fine. So in such cases where there is no need of access control, there's only one team, what do I do? Your integration team will normally build integrations in the design screen so that even if any of the developer logs in, if they take off their username as a filter, they can see other integrations as well. But the point is very often our clients will have multiple integration teams, and those integration teams could be partitioned by offering that they're implementing, or they could be partitioned by country. Maybe one team is taking care of US implementation, another one is looking after UK. Or it could be that one team is working on HCM stuff, another one is working on finance. So it doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter how the teams are partitioned. But obviously there would be a requirement to do access control. So client might come to you and say, Prasad, you and your team members would be building finance integrations, and whatever integrations that your team is building should not be visible to HCM team. Of course, why should they worry about finance stuff? But the problem is, if you need access control like this, then we cannot build the integrations directly in design screen. Because if I build a fin related integrations here, if Divya logs in from HCM team, her username will be applied as a filter. And if she takes off her username as a filter, she will be able to see all the fin related integrations. And that is exactly where Oracle has came up with a concept called projects. So this is a new concept that we have got in OIC Gen 3, guys. We didn't have this concept in Gen 2. So with the help of projects in OIC, we can do the access control. So for example, if I create a project here, okay, so I call it as, let's say, UG103, it's a US implementation project, or let's call it as maybe a finance implementation project. Okay, and what do? We create a project. And within the project, okay, looks like somebody has already used it. I'll go ahead and change it to UG104. Okay. So I'll create it as UG104 Finance Implementation Project. Sorry, my bad. I was already using this for one of the ongoing batches. So it's me who has created those projects as well. So I would be using UG104 as your batch identifier, guys. So if I'm creating this creating this project as a finance implementation project, UG104, as soon as we create a project, it opens up. And whatever you could do in an integration design screen, you can do it in the project as well. So whatever options you see in design screen, let the screen open up. So if you go to the integration design screen, remember integrations, this is where you create integrations. And within the integrations, these are all the underlying components you use within them. So within the integrations, you will use connections. You can use events, lookups, JavaScript libraries, and so on. So these are all especially these four are the underlying components you use when you build integrations. And these 5 options that you're seeing in the design screen, you will be seeing them within the project as well. So what do? We ask relevant teams to create their own projects. And we ask team leads to give access of their projects only to their team members. So what Prasad would do, he would create a finance implementation project, and Prasad would give access of that project only to the finance team members, like Dhaval, Latish, and Jayasinghan. And Prasad will not give access of that project to Divya or Kiran. So where do you grant access of your project, guys? You click on share here. And this is where you get to see who is the owner of the project. And here I'll go ahead and add all the finance team members so that only fin team members can access the project, get in here, and they would be able to create the required connections, lookups, libraries, and events, and use them and build the integrations. Now I created this project, right? And I'm the owner of the project, as you can see here. And all of you would have received an onboarding email from our side, guys, already. And in that onboarding email, you have, if you look at the OIC username and password, you would have probably received Hemant username and password. Okay, I'm going to log into it with that username and password. Give me one moment, guys. I'll get the latest password of that user. I'm going to paste that in here. Now, I created this project as Prasad, guys, and I didn't give access of this project to anyone yet. Would you believe, or do you think Hemant would be able to access this project, guys? See, I logged in as Hemant here into the same OIC instance. And when Hemant goes to projects, obviously his username will be applied as a filter. So he won't see the project that I created until he takes off that filter. But the moment he takes off that filter, what is it that he get to see? He'll be able to see the project that I have created. Okay. And what is it that we see, guys? You see UG104 Fin IMPL project. Okay, so Hemant is able to see the project that I created. But would he be able to get into that project, guys? Yes or no, please? What's the error that he's seeing?
No.
It says user doesn't have sufficient privilege to perform this action. Since I didn't give access of my project to Hemant, he would not be able to get in there. And what is it that I need to do? Assume that Hemant is my team member and I have to give him access. How do I do that? I go to the project access and I'll go ahead and add him as a member here. So from this point onwards, now that I have added Hemant as a member of my project, if he tries to get in now, he would be able to get into the project. He can see the components and he can also contribute to the finance implementation project. There are also a few more things that you need to know about access control. There are different levels of access that you can provide. And we'll talk more about this when we do the first REST API build in OIC. But for now, just remember that, yes, if you need access control, you will use projects. If you don't need it, you would directly build integrations in design. And you do see two options here, two buttons here, create and import. Now, what is it that you do, guys? Or what are the typical implementation phases that you would have in a project, guys? Whenever you do an implementation project, what are the phases that you would normally have? Development, SIT, UAT, and production. Are these the phases that we have in an implementation project, guys? Yes or no?
Yes.
Now,
yes.
when we start off with a development, we would go to dev OIC instance. And one important point, guys, these phases will be done in different instances. So for example, if it is an EBS instance or Fusion Cloud instance, obviously we will have separate instances for development, SIT, UAT, and production, right? We don't do everything in one instance. OIC is no different. You will also have different OIC instances for different phases of the project. You will have one for development, you will have another one for SIT, or third instance for UAT, and so on. Now we would log into dev OIC instance, and this is where you will build all the integration use cases. Okay, so the first thing you and your team would do was log into dev instance, and you would use the create button to build the integrations. Now I'll talk about these integration styles in a moment. And once the integration build is done, let's say your team has created 100 integrations. Let's say 70 of them belong to ERP cloud, meaning finance or SCM integrations. 20 belong to HCM cloud, and 10 belong to sales cloud. And assume that you are integration lead and you got a call today from a client, and client said that, Prasad, we're going to start. We will start SIT from tomorrow. Okay, from tomorrow, they want to start SIT. And they want all the 100 integrations that we have created in dev instance to be deployed to SIT. Okay, so you in a dev instance, you created 100 integrations, and client has called you and they said, Prasad, we need to deploy them to SIT, all those 100 integrations. So I'm duplicating the tab. I'm just keeping the same instance open in two different tabs. So you have 100 integrations created here, and I need to deploy all those 100 integrations to a higher instance, and assume that in this instance, we don't have these integrations. How do I deploy them, guys? One obvious option is I can go to one integration at a time and I can export it, and that would create an IAR file. I can pick up one integration at a time, export it, that would create an integration archive file. And in this integration archive file, you will have all the code of this integration. Okay, so all the code of this integration would obviously be there in this file. And not just the integration code, guys. You will also see whatever underlying components used in the integrations, like whatever connections are used in the integration, whatever events, lookups, or JavaScript libraries used in the integration will also be part of it. Okay, so when you export an integration, please note that along with integration code, all the underlying components are included as part of it. It stands for integration archive. Now, all I have to do is get into a target instance and you hit the import button and you pick up that IAR file and you go ahead and import it. Now, tell me one thing is if it is one integration that you need to deploy, I tell you that Prasad, you export one integration at a time and you import it this way, you might probably be happy to do it. But if I ask you to repeat this, say 100 times, or let's say you created 300 integrations or 500 integrations, is it feasible to export one integration at a time 500 times and deploy it to a higher instance, guys? Does it even make sense? Not really, right? There should be a way to do a bulk deployment of integrations to a higher instance. And that is exactly where packages come into picture. So if you are an integration lead, you tell your developers to put the integrations into relevant packages. You tell your developers to put the integrations into relevant packages. So whenever you try to create an integration, guys, you have an option to put it in a package. So it doesn't matter which style you choose. You have an option to put integration into a package. And as an integration lead, you need to send out a clear-cut communication to your team. Team cannot put integrations into their own packages. You should tell them, boss, if it is an ERP-related integration, meaning if it is an invoice or maybe a journal-related integration, finance or SCM modules, they have to put it in ERP package. If it is a HCM-related integration, you ask them to put it in HCM package and so on. Remember, when you enter a package name, you can enter a new name or you can pick and choose an existing one. Now you send out this note already right at the beginning of the project itself, and all the 100 integrations were created by a team. They would have included them in appropriate packages. Then what is it that you would do? You go into the packages. You should be able to see the packages showing up here. Okay, assume that this is HCM package and assume that this is ERP package. You would see 30 integrations here and you will see 70 integrations here. And if you click on the number, you would be able to see the integrations here. Okay, 30 integrations and 70 integrations in the other package. Now, one important point is sometimes, when you send out an email asking team to follow this naming convention for packages, you always have few developers who live in their own world. So you might have John, who created an invoice integration, but he might have put it in HCM package, or he might have left the package name blank completely, because when you create an integration, package name is not mandatory. So there is a fair chance that when you look at the package, you might see some integrations that should not be here, or you might see some integrations missing are related to HCM here. So can we correct it? What do you think, guys? So whenever you create an integration, we put it into a package, right? What if it is not placed into a right package initially? Can we change it? If the integration is not in an active status, if it is in active status, you can deactivate it. And then you will be able to include it in a package. You see this integration? And you go into the package. Sorry, you go into the settings here. And when you go to settings, what do you get to see, guys? You would be able to see the package name. So it looks like this integration is created, but it is not included in a package. You can go into the settings and you can change the package name. So ask your developers to put integrations into right packages. And if there are some misses, you would review the package, look at the integrations, and if something gets missed, you go to that integration and you repackage them. And after that, once you make sure that you have all the required integrations in a package, all you have to do is pick up that particular package and you export it. You pick up that package and you export it. And the moment you export it, all the integrations that you have in that package will be included in it. And not just the integrations, all the underlying components, the connections, events, lookups, and libraries used in those integrations would also be part of it. Okay, it stands for package archive, and that would contain the code of these 5 integrations and all the underlying components. Now, all you need to do is go into the higher instance, go to packages, and you can go ahead and import that package. Now, with just export and import of one file, even if you have 300 integrations, doesn't matter. You just have to do one export and you import the TAR file, and that would import all the integrations. Of course, there are a few post-processing steps that you have to do after you import a package. You need to go to the configuration editor page, and you need to point the connections, lookups to appropriate values. And we'll talk more about what is it that you need to change in the connection. How do we do it? We'll cover all of that in detail when we do the administration session. Towards the end of the integration track, we will spend 1 hour doing a hands-on on the migration, versioning and cloning of integrations. And in that session, we get into the specifics of it. Okay, so this way packages are meant for doing a bulk deployment of integrations into a higher instance. Now, when you try to create a new integration, guys, there is an integration style that you have to choose. And you've got 3 styles to choose from. Now, nobody is going to come to you and say, hey, Prasad, for this use case, you have to use application, and for another one, you have to use schedule. It is you as an integration developer who has to make that decision. Now, the point is, how do I decide which style to use? Well, there's no confusion. In Gen 2, we used to have 6 styles, guys. It used to be confusing, but it's just 3 that we have here. And application, as you can make out from the name, you would use application style if the integration that you're building has to be triggered from another system. See, we did one use case yesterday, guys, right? What is that use case? Salesforce to ERP integration. And how is that integration going to get triggered, guys? Salesforce to ERP service that we build. We have shared this URL with a Salesforce team, and Salesforce team is calling our integration with the help of that URL from a Salesforce application. So who is going to trigger our integration, guys? Salesforce application, right? Yeah. So whenever you build an integration use case, which is supposed to be triggered by another system, another application, and that another application or that application can be anything. It can be Salesforce, it can be ERP cloud, it can be a database, it can be FTP server, it can be any application, guys, for that matter. So the point is very simple. You build an integration, activate it, there is a URL generated. You can call integration from any application that you want. Okay, so if the client wants you to build an integration, share an endpoint URL with them so that they can call it from another application on demand. Another application on demand. This is exactly what you use. This is exactly what you use. Application style integration. Okay. Now, apart from application style integration, what else is required, guys? What else is, and what are the other use cases for application style? Application, you can have a number of use cases, guys. Say this Salesforce to ERP itself is a classic example of application style integration. And we will also see some integrations triggered by ERP automatically. Like you would build an integration, use ERP as a trigger, you subscribe to item update event. Whenever item is updated in ERP is going to trigger your integration. So in that case, ERP application is going to call your integration, but it can be any other application as well. So let's say you're doing an implementation project for a client like BT, British Telecom, and let's say they have billing systems where AR invoices get generated. And all they want us to do is build an integration. Okay, so all they asked us to do is Prasad, build an integration which is capable of importing AR invoices in cloud. And they wanted us to activate that integration and share the URL with them, so that what BT will do, whenever they have a few invoices to import, they're going to trigger our integration that we have built in OIC from a billing system, passing those invoices as input to the integration, and our integration will import them or create them as AR invoices in cloud. Okay, in this case, billing system is going to be the triggering point or triggering system. So any integration that you build, which has to be triggered on demand explicitly from another application, we use application style. But in some use cases, you would have to build an integration, but nobody is going to call it explicitly. Instead, it has to run on the basis of a schedule. What would be the typical use cases for scheduled orchestrations, guys? They're usually used for bulk integrations, to do automated file uploads overnight. So all these are use cases for scheduled orchestrations. So let me give you a few scenarios. Let's say you're doing an implementation project for a manufacturing client like Emerson. Let's say they have internal warehouse management system where items get updated. And a WMS system is going to place those item CSV files with item updates information in it. And it's going to place those files in SFTP server 1. And this is an on-prem FTP server within the client network. It is within the client network. Now, those item CSV files placed in SFTP server 1 should be made available to a third-party shipping application like OTM. Now, if I go to client and ask them to expose on-prem FTP server to a third-party, client might not be happy with it. They might say, Prasad, I have a lot of other sensitive information here, and I don't want to expose it to a third-party system. In which case, what is it that you would do, guys? Source is writing files to one location, but we cannot give access of it to a target. So we go to OTM and we ask them, is there any other server that you have access to? If yes, let us know. We will transfer the files from server 1 to server 2 so that you can pick it up and process from there. So let's say application B says, Prasad, we have access to SFTP server 2. And what do we do in such case? We have access to SFTP server 2. So what do we do in such case? We would build a file transfer service. You come across plenty of scenarios like this, guys, where source would be writing file to one location, whereas target expects the files to be at a different location. You would build a file transfer service to pick up a file from server 1 and drop it in server 2. And if WMS is going to write the files at 1 o'clock every morning, after we build this integration, we will schedule it to run at 1:30. I'll schedule it to run at 1:30 every day. And that's going to pick up a file from server 1 and drop it in server 2. And in this case, I'm just taking two examples as SFTP servers. But it can be any file storage area, guys. It can be Amazon S3 bucket. It can be object storage in OCI. It can even be a local file system, or it can even be a Google Drive as well. So you have adapters to connect to each one of them, or any file adapter or any file system that you have probably. Okay, so you can read file from any of them, and you can write file to any of them. And in this case, all we're talking about is picking up a file from one location and dropping it to another one. But it could also be that you might have to pick up a file from FTP and you might have to load it into cloud as well. So let's say you're doing an implementation project for a banking client like HSBC, and they have a core banking system where a journals file get generated. Okay, so journals get created all through the day in a core banking system. And after close of business, HSBC would run a process at their end, extract all the journals created on that particular day, put it in a file, and they're going to place that file in FTP server at 3 o'clock in the morning. And the expectation is that journals have to be loaded into Fusion Cloud GL application. Now we'll build a scheduled orchestration to run at 3:30. You pick up a file from FTP server, and you can do any logic that your client wants here. You can enrich the data, transform the data, validate the data. And this is where one of you asked about ATP yesterday. This is where we use ATP extensively, the database layer, to do the bulk transformations or validations. And then we use FPDA process to load the data into cloud. And if it is a finance data, finance or SCM, we use FPDI. If you just replace the use case of finance use case with HCM, let's say it's a different client. Let's assume that they have a custom application where some HR data gets generated, and they're going to give us a file with employees in it in FTP server at 3. We schedule an integration, pick up the file, we do the required massaging or pre-processing of the data, and then we use HDL to do that bulk data upload into HCM cloud. Okay. So what you need to understand is, remember guys, these are not some cooked up stories that I'm explaining here. So these are the actual integration scenarios that I've worked in real time. And we would be covering these exact integration use cases in a training session as well. In fact, we'll be building 15 complex integrations as part of the course. Remember, I said we would build app-driven orchestrations, right? So we will be building a complex journal import SOAP service and REST API. These are complex app-driven orchestrations. And we would also be doing FPDA automation and HDL automation to do automated file uploads into FSCM modules and into HCM modules. And we would also be building a file transfer service to transfer the files from one location to another location based on a schedule. Okay, so we would be doing file transfer service as well. And all the use cases that I've given you, that I've explained so far, these are all inbound integrations, guys, meaning, yes, client has implemented a Fusion Cloud application. And there are a lot of other systems that the client has from which we get a data. And we need to load that into Fusion Cloud. And that is exactly what we call as, inbound integration. See, whenever a client implements Fusion Cloud application, two sets of integrations that are quite important as inbound and outbound. And inbound integrations will come into picture right at the beginning of they come into picture here. Yes, whatever other systems that the client has, it could be a core banking system giving you journals. It can be a billing system giving you invoices, or it can be a external vendor like Bloomberg giving you exchange rates file. Loading all that information from other systems into Fusion Cloud with the help of inbound integrations is what we do in the initial half of the integrations track. And towards the second half of the integrations track, we would be building outbound integrations here, because you would also have equally good number of use cases wherein you have to extract the data from Fusion Cloud and send it to other systems. It could be sending employee assignment updates to ADP to run a payroll. It can be sending a payment files to a bank so that they can run a payment. Or it can be sending a new hire information or a termination information to insurance provider so that they can either enroll the employees or de-enroll them from a plan, and so on. And we would be building such 4 outbound integrations as well, again following different approaches. We'll see how to do event-driven orchestrations. We'll see how to do a bulk extraction using BIP. We'll understand the usage of HCM extracts and atom feeds as well. Okay, so and apart from these inbound and outbound integrations, there will be plenty of other use cases that we do in between. Now, if you go back to OIC, there's another option that we have, another integration style called event. And we'll be covering this in detail when we build the publisher-subscriber integrations. Yes, OIC supports event streaming. OIC supports event streaming in build. And how exactly does that work? How exactly does event streaming works? We will cover that in one of the integration use case, in the publisher-subscriber to be precise. So that's a brief about these three integrations, guys. And remember, we will be building quite a few integrations of each of these styles. And by the time we complete the integrations track, you would have pretty good understanding of how they work. Now, whenever you build integrations, as I mentioned yesterday, the first step is you go into the connections and you would create the required connections with source and target systems first. Okay, so in case of say Salesforce to ERP, you would have to create connections with Salesforce and ERP system first using those adapters, and then you use those connections to build the integrations. And when you go to connections and you try to create a new connection, you have an option to pick up a adapter. Okay, and you see that there are almost 100 plus adapters available here, guys. And you have almost like 20-30 adapters of Oracle, and you also have pretty long list of adapters which can help you to talk to almost any system that every enterprise uses, guys. Okay, and all these adapters would be showing up in the adapter screen here the last time. Okay, so depending on the system that you have to interact with, you just have to search for that adapter and you need to use it. If I have to talk to FTP server, I use FTP. If I have to talk to ERP cloud, I search for ERP. If I have to talk to SAP, I use SAP. And if I have to talk to Salesforce, I pick up that adapter. That's what a connection is all about. Events, we'll cover it in the event streaming session. Lookups, this is one. Well, lookups have plenty of uses in OIC, guys. And let me just show you one use case where lookups would come handy. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and show you one of the integration that we're going to build. I just want to open up on the journal import service. I want to open the journal import service that we're going to build as a fifth or sixth integration. And I want to show you how exactly it's going to look like. So I'll go ahead and search for UG58. Journal import service, and let me just open this integration use case. Well, that is fine. Looks like he's not able to. He doesn't have, since Hemant is not an administrator, he doesn't have an option to unlock it. We'll talk more about locking and unlocking when we do the first use case. I'm going to open the journal import service here. I thought of opening it in the other session so that it will be easy for me to do an alt tab and explain the code. Let me come out of the integration, and I'm just opening up one of the integration use case, guys, that we're going to do as a fourth or fifth use case. And if you see this, it's so this integration, we're going to spend almost 1 week to build it. In short, we are building this for a client like HSBC, banking client, where HSBC will be triggering our integration from a core banking system, and they'll be passing in a journal payload as input. And as soon as we receive a journal payload as input, we would, with that payload, let's say you receive 100 lines or 1,000 lines as input, with that payload, we would call the journal import service, and that would dump the data to interface table. And then we'll submit an import journals job here to pick up the data from interface tables and process it. Now, don't focus on the steps, guys. We will be talking about that in detail later on. And so you get journal lines, you call a service, dump the data to table, and then you submit a job to process it. Okay. And after you submit a job, what is it that we have to do? We're going to plug in this logic in the integration to make the service wait until that job completes. So you wait for a minute and then you try to get the job status. And based on the job status, we want to send out a relevant email notification. Well, this is, we would be building integrations this complex. It's not a basics course, guys, just in case you're looking for it. So we would be building pretty complex integrations as the one that you are seeing on screen. And when we do this use case, we'll talk about the design in quite detail. But the reason I brought you in here today is I just want to show you that, let's say you got a journal batch and you imported it. It's imported successfully. Then I would be sending out an email notification. I'll be sending out an email notification. And when you send out an email notification, one obvious thing that you can do is you can hardcode the email IDs. Let's say Tim and Steve are looking after a GL and core banking system today on HSBC side. I can hardcode their email IDs like this. But does anyone have a problem, guys, if I do it this way, with hardcoding email IDs? What's a problem that you might end up in future? People change, don't they? So
Yeah,
if you hardcode the email IDs here, tomorrow if Tim or Steve leaves HSBC and somebody else might replace them, then client will have to search for either you or me, meaning an integration specialist. We need to bring down the service, and we need to take out the hard coding, and we need to plug in the new email IDs again. Is there any other better approach that you can think of? I can make use of lookup, create a lookup, store the email IDs in a lookup, and in the integration, instead of hard coding the values here, you would go to a lookup. You see here, to fetch the from email ID, I'm going to this lookup, and I'm searching for from email ID property here, from email ID here, and I'm trying to get the property value. Because all I'm trying to do is going to this lookup, searching in the property name column for this particular email IDs, list of email IDs, and I use it. So the point is, instead of hard coding email IDs, I'm storing it in a lookup, and from within the integration, I'm fetching it from there using a lookup function. What's the benefit of doing it this way? Instead of hard coding the emails, tomorrow if people change, client will not even have to inform you. They can just go into a lookup, update the email IDs there, and from that point onwards, when the integration runs next time, it would pick up the latest email IDs that you have in a lookup, and it would send emails to the updated set of people. Okay, so this is just one usage of a lookup, guys. There are plenty of other usages as well. This is just one of them. Okay, and that's about the lookups. And you also have an option to use JavaScript libraries in the integration space. Remember, we use JavaScript libraries very, very rarely in integration space. Now, the reason is when you have to do any integration mapping, guys, if you get into the integration mapper, you notice that Oracle has already given plenty of function specs. In fact, hundreds of them. Okay, so if you go to integration mapper, you would be able to see plenty of functions given by Oracle, and those functions are grouped into categories. And these functions, 100 plus functions across categories, you can use them to achieve any transformation that you want. So when you get a payload from a when you get a payload from a source system, and when you have to send it to a target, and obviously you might not want to do a one-to-one map like this. Maybe you need to do some transformation on the source attribute before you assign it to target, in which case these functions are more than enough. But apart from these basic functions, if you enable XSLT, you will also see few advanced XSL transformation functions as well, as you can see here, like choose, when, otherwise, and so on. So these basic functions plus advanced functions would be sufficient for you to do the required transformations in 99 out of 100 integrations you build. And if you come across any custom requirement to do some transformation, but you don't find a function here or here to achieve it, only in such cases we use JavaScript. That doesn't mean you have to open up a basics of JavaScript book today and read it. You use it very, very rarely. And another important thing is JavaScript is widely used programming language even today to do the web development. So if you need any function to do a transformation, it shouldn't take more than 30 seconds for you to get it in Google. And we discussed the concept of packages already. Connectivity agents, in one of the integration use case, we'll talk about this in depth. SaaS to on-premise integration with connectivity agent. And in this session, I'll show you how to use connectivity agent to talk to on-prem applications. And in that session, I'll show you the end-to-end installation process as well. And not just the integrations, guys, we would also be building a 5 VBCS and 5 PCS applications as well as part of the course. And one of them will be an end-to-end solution, linking all the cloud services together. Linking all the cloud services together. Now, before I open it up for questions, guys, please note that we're going to enable a passcode right after this meeting is done. We're done with the free demo sessions. Day 1 and day 2 of free sessions, we're done with them. We would enable a passcode on the meeting right after this session. Most of you have already made a fee payment. I believe 80 or 85% of you have already done it. This announcement is only for those 10-15% who are yet to make a fee payment. Please send us a WhatsApp message on this number. Team will let you know the enrollment process. Please complete it ASAP. If possible, today evening itself before 7:30, because team would need at least a couple of hours to complete the onboarding formalities. And we would also be sending out an onboarding. We've already sent out onboarding email to the people who have already paid the fees. And if someone has not enrolled it, you would receive it once you complete the enrollment. Please note that you will receive another email, guys, wherein you have a passcode. And tomorrow, 5 o'clock, when you hit the same meeting link that you used today, you won't be joining a session. You won't be able to get into a session immediately. It would prompt you to enter a passcode. Don't call me or send me a WhatsApp message. If you have already paid the fees, passcode would be in your inbox, or check your spam folder. Sometimes the passcode email goes there, and use that passcode to attend a training session. Now, one request is please don't ping me at 4:55 or 5 p.m. tomorrow and say that I will attend one more session or 2 more sessions and then make a fee payment. Sorry, I won't be able to share a passcode unless enrollment is complete. And yes, and what exactly we cover as part of the course, I did cover it already in a training session yesterday. So just in case you missed yesterday's session, ping us on WhatsApp on this number, tell the team, and they would share a day 1 session recording. And in that, in yesterday's session, I've explained in detail about how the training program works, how many days, what exactly we do as part of the course. I've explained it in detail, and I'm not going to repeat it again. And we don't have 5 or 6 of your members, guys. Okay, admin has pointed this out to me while I was in a session. 5 or 6 members who are attending a training session today. Not really sure. Probably your friend might have shared your link, but we don't have your contact. And if you don't have your contact, we won't be able to reach you for enrollment. So you have to proactively message us on this number. Okay, any questions from anyone, guys? Please raise your hand. I'll call out the name just to avoid confusion. And by the way, tomorrow we're going to get started with web service basics, guys. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow sessions are probably the most important. Tomorrow we cover the web service basics. We do SOAP service basics tomorrow, and a REST API basics a day after. Yes, Vikas, go on.
Yeah, what's the difference between Gen 2 and Gen 3? The major difference?
Hundreds of things have changed. If you can ping me in WhatsApp, I'll send you a link where everything is listed down there. Major differences include we don't have the concept of projects in Gen 2. And in Gen 2, we have something called as Process Cloud Service, which is replaced by Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Process Automation in Gen 3, OPA. So if you have probably created any approval process, you have to rebuild them. And plenty of things have changed in VBCS and other components as well. I'll share a link, you can go through it.
Sure.
Okay, but to keep it simple, you don't have to worry too much about the differences because no one is interested in Gen 2 stuff. Okay, it's not a 1 or 1.5 year back where people might have questioned you on what has changed from Gen 2 to Gen 3. Those days are gone. Everybody worries only about Gen 3 today. Okay. Even from interview standpoint also.
Sure.
Yes, Pavit. Tanmay?
How to create a user account in OIC? Do we need some privileges?
Day 5 will cover that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, Jayashree.
Yeah, hi. Actually, I have 3.10 years of experience, but not in OIC. So I have some doubt, like, it will cover all the details because I'm planning to switch. So That's why I needed this all things. So it will cover all the things in this.
Yeah, we'll start off from scratch, the basics, and we would cover everything that you need to know to become an expert OIC developer by the time you complete the training course in 2 months' time, provided
Mhm.
provided you attend all the training sessions that I'm going to do for the next 2.5 months without losing focus or commitment. And you should also practice each and every use case that I cover in a session. And if you do that, you can take my word for it. You would basically master OIC, and all you have to do is tweak your profile a little bit at the end of the course, show off last 2 or 3 years, or in fact, all the entire 3.1 years of experience that you have, you can show it as experience in OIC so that you can negotiate on top of your current CTC. Well, we cover everything starting from basics and we go to much more than advanced levels. Okay.
Okay, because because that's why I'm down because 3.10 in that month that is too much experience, like right? So they are asking like
I've seen
you must
people.
give the questions. Yeah.
I've seen people showing it as 5 years of experience and clearing interviews. Okay, so it all depends on how much of a content you will be able to understand or absorb out of what I'm explaining here. So probably by the time we reach the middle of the course, if you're able to understand 70 or 80% of it, that means you can probably show it as instead of 5, you can probably show it as 2 years or 3 years. And we can have an offline call to talk about this in detail. You can call me on this number after 10 a.m. tomorrow if you have any further questions.
Okay. And one more thing, you are giving the placement also, or like anything is there involved in this?
We've been doing this for almost 10 years now. I personally delivered 100 plus batches for OIC, and I've trained
Mhm.
employees of almost every company that you have, starting from Deloitte, Accenture, plenty of companies. We've delivered at corporate training programs, etc. And whenever they have any openings, they usually send us a request first, and we publish it to our entire student database, whoever have taken a training course from us. And if any of those job description matches your profile, you can go ahead and apply for them. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yes, Pavel. Thank you. Ram.
Hi, Prasad.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Good
So
evening. Please go on.
I have similar question like how the people are. So actually, I have 14 years of experience in Java and JTW
Can you call me on
technologies.
this number? Call me on this
Yeah,
number tomorrow after 11 a.m. We'll have a one-on-one call. Pradnya?
11 a.m. After
Yeah.
11
Are you based
a.m.
out of US?
Yeah, I am based at US.
Call me at 7 p.m. exactly. Okay.
Yeah,
Call me
7
after 1
p.m.
hour from now. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Pradnya?
Yeah, hi, Prasad. So again,
Hi.
my question is similar to what Jayesh and Pavit had.
Mhm.
I am actually 10 years experience into purely into Oracle EBS
Mhm.
technical. So I'm just thinking like, I have a query that whether moving on to, I'm looking to switch into the Oracle Cloud.
Mhm.
So again, moving into that, so OIC will be enough, or I need to consider with the Fusion plus OIC as I do have EBS experience. And
Oracle
how?
Integration Cloud is more than enough for you. Get into
Mhm.
Oracle Cloud implementation projects. As part of OIC course, we will be covering few Fusion tech skills as well, like FPDA, HDL, BI report, and so on. Okay, the
Mhm.
basics of it that you need to know as an integration specialist. First, master this product. That will take you at least 3 months.
Mhm.
And after that, tweak your profile, show it as 3 to 4 years of experience in OIC, get into Fusion Cloud projects. And
Mhm.
once you do one or two projects, then you it's definitely recommended to learn Fusion Technical as well, not immediately, but after you start working in Fusion Cloud projects to expand your skill set. And your
Mhm.
Oracle EBS experience would come very handy when you transition into cloud because nothing much. It's like I don't think that you've lost everything that you have or everything that you have learned over the last 10 years is useless. It would
Mhm.
certainly help you when you design your integrations, and you will understand more about it when we do the core set of integrations. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Yes, Jayashree. Jayashree, you're done. If your question is answered, please lower your hand, guys, to avoid confusion. Hussein, please go on.
Yes. Actually, I have same query related. Actually, my experience is about only 2 years. So,
1 second, guys. I think it's I'm already answering a question for the third time. Your experience level doesn't matter. 2 years, 20 years, 30 years, EBS doesn't really matter. Action plan is very, very simple. Enroll in a course, attend the sessions for 2.5 months, practice everything that I cover in a session, master OIC, tweak your profile, show off last 3 to 4 years of experience or whatever experience that you have as experience in OIC, attend couple of interviews, crack it, get into a Fusion Cloud projects. As simple as that. There's no complication here. Okay, so even if you have 2 years of experience, so the max that you can do is show it as experience in OIC and get into a Fusion Cloud implementation projects as an OIC developer. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Srikanth. Okay.
Yeah, actually, do you cover the OIC administration as well?
It would be done in a day 5 session. Whatever you need to know related to administration of OIC, like how do you create OIC instance from OCI? How do you create users? How do you assign roles? How do you enable VBCS, PCS, and all that admin stuff will be done in day 5 session, day 5 and day 6.
For
Okay.
that, how we require the OCI infra, right? Like you will be providing access.
We don't give access to OCI, and in fact, in day 5 session, I'll show you how exactly OIC instance would be created from OCI console. Even in real time, no client is going to give you access to OCI screen. In fact, it will be OCI administrator who will be provisioning OIC instance from there. But when they provision it, they might run into few issues or they might have few questions. And day 5, day 6 session, I'll tell you what are the questions that they might ask you. What is the process? I'll show you that process. But you don't. We're not going to give you access to OCI account. No client will do it. No vendor will do it with their credit card plugged in. Okay. So all you need to understand is how from OCI console, just click on create OIC instance, give it a name, select a version and other stuff, and do it. Okay. It's a kind of for your information session.